Good morning, Kansas and beyond Kansas. Thank you so much for coming on today and spending some time with us. We really wanted to focus in on B2B and how do B2B harness digital assets like marketing and things like that, the digital assets to grow their businesses, especially internationally. So we're super pleased to be working together with the Kansas Commerce and Department of Commerce, and super pleased that you were able to join us today. Just while the last of you are logging on, I'm going to sort of introduce us very briefly. Although I think that, oh, hold on, where's my control? Here we go. Hopefully you are now seeing something. There we go. Took a while, but I'm getting there. So I'm super pleased to be joined by Cassidy. Cassidy Nolan is the international representative in the Kansas Department of Commerce, born and bred in Kansas, and can answer any Kansas question. And Cassidy is going to be here to talk a bit about what the Kansas Department of Commerce can help for exporters, for international commerce, for companies in general based in and around that. And then myself, my name is Susanna. I'm Chief Content Officer at IBT Online. Lori is unfortunately not able to join us today, but she is the Assistant Director, Global Resources, International Division, also Kansas Department of Commerce. A brief word also about, and Ava also will be joining us a little bit later. So that's who you're talking to today. A brief word about us as a company. IBT Online is a digital marketing agency. We are, so what does that mean? It means we create and build websites, we do e-commerce, and we do digital marketing, basically. We're really known for two specialities. The first is our focus on small mid-cap companies. Hopefully you're out there too. And the second is our focus on international. And whether it's helping U.S. companies grow outside the U.S. and into new markets, or helping them attract new companies into the United States, all of that international focus. That's what we're really known for. And so we're super pleased to be here with you today. We developed something called the Online Global Programs, and these are programs which are they're designed to help companies who haven't yet got digital presences internationally, and how to reach international markets. I'm from Nebraska and I want to go to Japan, or I'm from Kansas and I want to be seen in Germany. I'm from Georgia and I want people in Mexico to buy my products. So these are these online global programs, and so that's a well-trodden path, obviously, for websites and also digital marketing. We're also super proud of our strategic partnership, which is now in its second year with the U.S. Commercial Service. We are the strategic partner for e-commerce, as I said, for the second year in a row. So it's a weird place because it's us and Amazon. So there's some strange conversations sometimes as we say, yes, but we're representing companies. And they say, yes, but give us your margins to the companies. Anyway, we thought we would divide this up into a couple of bite-sized pieces. My first question has just come in. Thank you. We welcome questions. Yes, you are all getting a recording of this webinar this hour. And if you want the slide deck, please email me or Cassidy separately, and we'll send it to you for that. But that does let me into a little parenthesis. We're super pleased that you could take the time out of your day today. Thank you. That's great. Put away your other screen, your telephone, whatever it is, and spend some time with us. We're really honored that you're here, and we know you're busy, so it's a real pleasure. And then ask those questions you've never had time to ask before about online and digital and what it means and international, how it is, what do I do? Ask the questions. We're here to help. And if I don't get around to the questions, or Cassie doesn't get around to the questions right away, we will email you afterwards. back to the agenda. I'm going to ask Cassidy just to tell us a little bit about the Kansas Department of Commerce, just as for starters, because she's our very grateful host today. And then we're going to talk a little bit. I mean, I cannot talk about the internet today without talking about AI. So we're going to start with that. I'm going to say what is happening with digital assets, what's happening with my digital marketing given AI. Then I'm going to look at sort of some key components of making sure you get the right journey for your international presence, for selling international, whether it's through distributors, agents, in-market partners, or on your own. How does that work? And what are the key components you need to have for that? And then a few digital digital assets must-haves, which I've said, and how that is, and what are those key components again. A few use cases, and then I thought, every event needs a party bag. So here's our party bag. We've got some little takeaways for you to hopefully, continue discussion and hopefully generate some ideas and thoughts. So with that, I'm going to ask Cassidy to tell us a little bit about Kansas Department of Commerce. Cassidy.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. Thank you so much, IBT, Susanna, for having us today and presenting on this really important topic. Kansas Department of Commerce, we work in the international division. We have 3 subsections. We have our export team who can help you with export resources, as well as our foreign direct investment team who helps Kansas bring international companies here, and as well as our global resources team who is helping bring this to you today. Our global resources team is a new subdivision. We help bring resources like this as part of our goals, is to provide external resources and bring you people and match you with different contacts like IBT for any of your needs when it comes to exporting or working in different international markets. Like Susanna said, my assistant director, Lori Piper, could not be here today, but if you do have any questions, she's a wonderful resource. So please feel free to email her, and then please feel free to email me as well. And our goal is also to help you, to direct you to any other international resources that you might need. We do also partner in another webinar series with NASBY International, which some of you might know of already. If not, they are a wonderful organization that provides different access to different international trade resources as well. And we do have other webinars coming up that you should check out on our web pages, both international, NASBY International, as well as the Kansas Department of Commerce International Webinar Series. We have a few coming up, and we would love to have you there as well. But I'm not going to take up much of your time today. If you do need anything or are interested, feel free to email me or check out our website. And I'm going to throw it back over to Susanna. Thank you so much again for today and your presentation.
Thank you, Cassidy. Just a little aside as well. We work with a lot of different countries. We work with France, with quite a different countries. The USA is very. You should be grateful. Is very lucky to have resources like Cassidy and Lori and others. Take advantage of them. Give them a shout and say, hey. Right, let's get on with things then. So we were trucking along happily, using a ton of AI tools, and then guess what? We had ChatGPT emerge on the line. So I cannot talk about digital marketing and sales without talking about a little bit about AI as well. But first, a little bit of background. And I'm sorry for some of these stats. Again, you're getting the stats. So February 2025, so today, a lot of people on this planet, 70% of us own a phone. 5.5 billion people are online, and nearly the same amount are on social media. So if you in your office, your life thinks, oh wow, I spend a lot of time on the internet. The average time is 6 hours and 38 minutes, 6 hours and 40 minutes per day. So 5.5 billion people spending nearly 7 hours a day online. Now, if you're a small mid-cap company and you're saying, I want to go international, how do I reach these people? How do I find them? How do I know who they are? I think this is a good place to think about that. You know where they are, they're online. You know how to find them via social media. So that's, I think, a takeaway that I want you to sort of park in the back of your mind as a way of saying, I can leverage this tool. And some of the big converging trends we have at the moment, I think are really interesting because a lot of them also, I mean, they converge. You know, e-commerce, personalization, social commerce. And it's strange to me because at the same time we have all these people online and on the internet and so on, and at the same time we have things like personalization. So me and 5.5 billion of my friends want to be online, but I want the website I'm looking at to know me in some way, and I want it to be secure, and I want my data to be private, and I want to be having shopping when I want it, how I want it, on what platform I want, and I want it it's all about me. It's all about the searcher. So, those are some of the big things we're talking about today. And some of those will come into how you can leverage those trends as a company, as a small mid-cap company looking to expand your sales. Um, and if you think, okay, in the US, I shop a lot online. Now, this is B2C numbers, so weekly online purchases, B2C. The average is basically 55% of those 5.5 billion people are shopping online. Actually, what's interesting is that the USA represents just 12% of this global e-commerce environment. The white arrow, the white bar here is the worldwide average. The blue arrow is the USA. So yeah, we're ahead in front of that white bar, but there's an awful lot of countries right there. Indonesia, UK, Mexico, China are all right to the to the left of us. They shop more than we do. And even the ones on the right hand side, okay, it goes from 55 to like 50. Everybody's shopping online. And you can say, well, yeah, but that's B2C. That's not me. I'm a B2B company. I make, hydraulic pumps or ball bearings or whatever it is I make. But you know what? B2B is 3 times the size of B2C. And what's happened as well from the pandemic is that people have shifted massively to the B2B market. And we always had a strong inkling of it and so on because a lot of our clients are B2B. But one thing we're seeing now, and I just want to bring this up as sort of a little sort of a side note, is the number of companies who are saying to us, well, I don't want to, I'm a B2B company. I don't want to do e-commerce because I'm not into, e-commerce is for B2C. What I want to do is request a quote. And I'm like, well, that is e-commerce. It might not have a delivery method. Might not have a payment gateway or whatever, but it is e-commerce. And what your clients, what your prospective clients are asking for in more and more and more is the ability to go onto your website and say, I'll have 2 of these, please. 1 of those, 3 of those, 4 of those. Do those fit? Am I getting the right things? And how much is it and when can I get it? That's what's called a request a quote or order builder website. And that is e-commerce. So just put that as a side thought for yourselves as you're thinking about strategies. We're seeing it as incredibly enabling, and it ticks all those boxes. Do you remember that slide I had a couple of slides ago when I talked about AI, e-commerce, personalization? This allows a prospective client to test out your products and say, do those fit together? Is that what I want? What's your price? But it also allows you as a B2B company to say, that is a sales qualified lead, an SQL. That will allow my salesman to give this person an email or a call and say, hey, thanks for that order, thanks for that requested quote. Item 3 doesn't actually match with item 2. Can I suggest another one? And so on, and lead the conversation onwards. So just park that, perhaps, think about it, and we'll get back to that a little bit later. So I said, sort of, AI. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. Sorry. Here we go. There we go. AI. AI has been around for an awfully long time, in fact. It's been around since, well, arguably the Greeks, certainly Michelangelo, but really the 1940s. And we've had machine learning since the 1940s, robotics, artificial neural networks, the new generation of generative AI, and it is very, very new and very transformative and very much changing, is a step change. It's a paradigm shift as well. So, that's something that has to be taken into account when we look at it. And when I think about digital marketing and so on, the internet as such was really founded on a lot of AI. The way, because the internet is out there, but the way that it's structured, the way Google ranks things, and its search engine optimization, the search engine rankings, all of that is based on artificial intelligence. It might not always be generative artificial intelligence, generative AI, which is what we have now with chat and others, but it was always AI. And as a digital marketeer, we use enormous numbers of tools that are AI empowered. Whether it's for sorting, for analytics, for email marketing, for content marketing, pay-per-click, all of those things are based on AI. And the advantage, some of you might know things like SEMrush or Google Analytics and Locker Studios and things like that. But I think we have something like 25 different AI tools that we use for our clients just to analyze their data online. So in a sense, it was a logical progression to go into generative AI. It was for me, when I'm thinking about it, it was a very logical thing to basically move into that sphere. And I think that is reflected in how fast chat and others have been adopted. So we've all seen this before, how fast chat was adopted. It was 5 days later, chat was over 1 million. I think Instagram took 12 years to get to 1 billion subscribers. Chat took 5 months. So there you go. The internet was ready for it. Whether it's ready for us, I don't know, but the internet was ready for it. We wanted this. This was a logical progression of what we were doing anyway, and where we were going for that. And you can see this also in terms of search, and this is important because it'll influence how you think about your digital assets and how you can better leverage them and think about them going forward when you want to build your company and scale. On the right-hand side of your screen, you have, the 10 top websites of last year. Google is the monster in the room. 84 billion per month. Yeah. YouTube, also owned by Google, 32.5. But 1 year later, just 1 year later, ChatGPT is amongst the top 10. Okay, it's tiny compared to the 81 billion of Google. But you'll note here how much market share has been pulled from the top Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X. It's being pulled into Chat, Claude, all the others, Anthropic, Mistral, and so on. And this has not just an effect, it has repercussions on how you structure your data, how you structure your campaigns, how you think about scaling internationally using this. Because I think the key here is that 12% of chat lookers and finders are based in the United States. Only 12%. The rest are outside the USA. And you know, we can talk about, you know, it's uh, I mean, I think we all agree AI is here to stay. AI is definitely here to stay. It is what I like to think is, well, it is probably the dumbest AI version that you will have. Because people say to me, oh yeah, I do that, but you know what? Chat's still doing hallucinations and it's still doing this and that. Okay, give it another year. Scary thought. But you know, it is very much the dumbest version that you will have today. And so I think it's really important to start thinking about it. So here's a slide with some questions you might want to ask. Here's that was really the first takeaway. Here's something that you can say, okay, sales and marketing team, we need to think about our, our digital assets, and we need to think about how they work with AI. So a couple of questions to ask yourself. Does integrating more AI into marketing, oh, sorry, marketing is sales and marketing together. So it does integrating more AI into marketing require other changes to my tech stack? How do we keep up with AI developments? And we have one person in our team, the only mission is to keep up with AI developments. It's a big thing. So here's some thoughts. As I said, you will be getting these slides, so you could bring that into your next sales and marketing meeting. I guess in conclusion for this part, it's just okay. The future of sales, big topic, big topic. But for us, what we're seeing, what our clients are seeing, is that it is very, very much digital first. I, as a prospective client, whether I'm in Japan, Mexico, Florida, Canada, whatever, I want to check you out online first. I want to figure out who you are, whether you suit me, whether you're the right price, whether you're the right product. And then I want to do it on the way I want to search, on my platform, and in my time zone, in my way of doing it. So it's very customer centric, omni-channel, digital first. And with that, I think I'm going to take a sip of water, and I thought it might be interesting just to ask you guys all, you know, if you're already, you know, is your company already out there looking at AI tools? Are you? I don't know if I've launched that properly. So, do you have AI tools? Do you have it throughout the company? Oh, you're all suddenly, you've suddenly found it. You've suddenly found the mouse. Yes, please click on it. Thank you so much. There's lots of you who have already throughout the company. That's fantastic. Glad to hear that. There's a ton of you who are looking and thinking about it still. Welcome. Thank you very much. There'll be a few more polls, but I really appreciate that. And good to hear also the engagement. It's just suddenly switched. There's some of you which are in very specific areas as well. Very interesting. Thank you very much. I'm going to close that poll. Let's get back to today. I wanted to say that there are two big topics, big areas. And for anyone who's done sales and marketing and studied it, you'll know these topics very well. But they're worth remembering, especially if you go internationally. And the first is called your buyer persona and the buyer journey, and the second is called localization. The two are very interlinked. And I'm going to give like a micro course, course 101 on marketing, on international marketing, but also on just general marketing. Okay, your buyer persona is the physical person, not the company you're trying to reach. It's not, you know, you're not trying to engage with a company. You're trying to engage with a person in that company. And the buyer persona that you're trying to reach is the person who signs the check. It's the person who signs the contract, who does the deal, right? That's your buyer persona. And you create this buyer persona. You say, okay, sales and marketing team, who are they? What nationality? Who are they? Whatever. And you figure that out. And the best way to figure it out is to bring that sales and marketing team together, sit down with a cup of coffee, and say, who do you talk to? What are they like? Are they on Instagram? Are they on Facebook? Do they go to trade shows? What do they do? And then you could look at that and say, is my buyer persona in New York, for example, different from my other U.S. buyer personas? Is my international buyer persona different from my U.S. buyer persona? Are there perhaps multiple buyer personas? A distributor is a buyer persona, a prospective client is a different buyer persona. How do they find me? How do they interact with me and engage with me? What ways is that journey different? So the journey is the consideration, the thought, the interaction you have with them, the consideration, awareness, finally conclusion. So the image you have on the right hand side of that screen is L'Oreal USA, and L'Oreal USA, they're projecting their buyer persona into that image, and they're saying our buyer persona. L'Oreal, by the way, makes the hair shampoo and conditioner, and their buyer personas USA are women. They are urban. They're on the top floor. They're business women. Obviously, they've all got great hair. They're all engaged on their iPhones, computers, and they're talking and so on. Some of them are alone. So that's their US bed, and it's New York City. Here is a picture of what it is in Mexico, and Mexico's different. It's subtly different. There are men involved in the project. It's more collegiate. It's more friendly. It's like, hey, so there's a different buyer persona, and that's reflected in the image. So I just want to sort of bring that up and one of the reasons why that's important, especially when you're online, is because the reaction that you get will be different according to your buyer persona. And the message you send needs to be tailored to the individual buyer persona. The message you get back from that buyer persona will be different according to that buyer persona. Let me give you an example here. So this is actually a Facebook post from ages ago, but it was so startling that I've kept it as an example. We did a marketing campaign for a company. On the one side to Canada, English Canada, the other side Portuguese Brazil, and it's a B2B company, and they make hydraulic piston things. In Canada, we were very thrilled to get over 1,200 engagements. In Brazil, we got over 20,000 engagements. Doesn't mean that 20,000 engagements turned into 20,000 sales, but that is a difference in engagement, in reaction, in buyer persona journey that you have. So knowing your buyer persona becomes really important, not just to put out the right post, but also to understand the reaction to that post for them. And so you could say, okay, why can't I use? I apologize. I've used the example of Wisconsin because I've got some templates here from Wisconsin. I should have said Kansas. Why can't I just use my Wisconsin website or my U.S. website to reach everyone worldwide? And the reason is, like I said earlier, the internet is structured by search engines and now by AI that privilege the searcher. And privileging the searcher means being localized. And that's what we're talking about now, that localization aspect. So, I mean, the thing that most of you know already is localization. Oh, that means keywords. So, here you have an example of, keywords in the USA versus keywords in Ireland. Okay, in the USA, if you're in the sports industry and you want to talk about sneakers, well then, 95% of people in the USA use the word sneakers. If you are targeting Ireland, I don't know, what is that? 75% of people in Ireland search for runners, not sneakers. So that's an example of localization. But localization, it's not only about language. Language is like the veneer on the top. Those keywords and the language, that's the veneer on the top. Language, social localization goes much deeper than that. Um, so I thought we would take that example of Ireland, the sneakers and the runners. Ireland looks incredibly easy, super, super friendly for business. Lots of links between the USA and Ireland. It's got the same environment in terms of the online environment. It's Google is 90% market share. They use Facebook, they use LinkedIn, so on. They speak English. So I thought that would be a good example. It's not a big market. It's not an overly complex market either. But your US website in that market is, for all intents and purposes, invisible. It doesn't have the right domain name, the top level domain name. Your .com is not what Google will privilege above all else. Ireland looks in metric. It's euro. They are very keen on GDPR. And then if you're anything, the references are different. The keywords are different. They use WhatsApp a lot. So there's lots of things that make a website localized and your digital assets localized. So therefore relevant to that local market. So if you want to appear in that local market, whether that's Ireland, Japan, Canada, Mexico, whatever, you need to think about what they are getting, what's important for them. So here's another silly example. This is a very silly example. A colleague of mine based in Massachusetts has a dog. This dog always barks during my webinars. So, and I was happened to be in the UK. So I said, okay, I'm in London. You're in Cambridge. Go to Google and put in squeakless dog toys. And she gets squeakless dog toys, Amazon.com, and then Glad Dogs Nation, USA Dog Shop, and other things like that. And I'm in London, and I go to Google, and I get google.co.uk, UK Google. And I get lots of other different things because Google knows where I am. It has my IP address. It knows where I am. It thinks that is what's relevant to you. So that's an example of localization and the segmentation that goes on with search engines and how you need to be more mindful about being visible or invisible to your prospective buyers. So just in general, I mean, this is a very much a summary slide. There's 10 criteria on this slide which summarize what it is to have a localized website. The amazing thing as well is that AI, there are a lot of AI tools that we now use to help us ensure that those websites are really, really optimized for those local markets. And whether that's, user experience, AI for the user experience in different markets, some of the real-time translation tools now are actually finally worth using. So worth having a look at. There's one specific item that I want to get onto now, which is about search engine optimization, SEO. Remember I told you that example about runners and sneakers, that's keyword optimization. That's kind of like SEO. Most of you already know some parts of SEO. And I think it's worth looking at how that's changing because it's affecting every aspect of your digital assets. So AI has really put a big punch into how people search and the value of it and so on. Remember those slides in the beginning when I said, chat is now the number 8 worldwide in terms of search, basically the way people search. It's 8 in terms of volume, but it's also different in terms of value. People value the AI search much more than the Google search. If I'm going on to Google, I'm going like, what time is my train? Well, where can I find a pizza? Whatever, thing like that. The search engine optimization is different from what are called GEO. generative engine optimization. So when you're doing it via search, by LLMs, while you're doing it by AI, you tend to value it more because it's a more solutions-driven request. You're not asking chat what time is my train. You're asking them, how do I solve this problem? And therefore, the result seems more important to you. So here's some strategies that we're seeing. And I think that the big takeaway, and there's a whole other discussion which I can have with you if you like about AI and the effect of that. But the big takeaway is that content and impactful quality content is actually more important with AI than before. So making sure your content really addresses your client problems, really, resolves things and speaks to them is more important than it was. And we're now talking about something called GEO. Rather than SEO, we're talking about generative engine optimization. And again, there's lots there's a whole separate topic, but again, there's I think some interesting takeaways from this. Um, AI, and remember that stat: only 12% of people looking at using chat are in the United States. So if you're looking internationally, know that Chat GPT and all the others, Claude, Anthropic, Mistral, are all huge outside the USA. And if you're looking to say, how do I get this? How do I make my digital assets more relevant to the AI? Well, that's a big chapter. Just in one slide, I tried to emphasize, the key things. It all has to do really with content and with quality. So don't think that you can just generate content, put it out there through AI, put it out there, and it's going to be ranked. The opposite. Google ranks down websites that have AI generated content. It ranks down content and websites that have repetitive AI content. Right. Before I go on to the next thing, and digital asset must-haves and how you can do that, I was thinking we do another poll, and if you'd like to learn more about how AI affects search results, I'm very happy to send you some blogs or some links that I can just answer the poll. You could send you some, like I said, some blogs, some white papers, some webinars, some small snippets and things like that. And thank you very much. We will definitely send you some blogs and a relevant blogs or two. Appreciate that. Appreciate your enthusiasm on that one. There's a lot of demand on it, I'm sure. Okay, thanks. Ending that poll. Let's look at some digital asset must-haves, some what we call it digital asset must-haves. I think the first point I wanted to make really is, what is your most important asset? What is the most important asset that a company has? It's your brand, and it's how you are perceived. And we talked in the beginning of this hour about how many people are online and how many hours they spend online and what they're doing online. And if you think your brand is not well perceived online, that's an issue. People will check you out. They will check you out online. You go to a trade show, you hand out your business card, people will check you out. They'll check you out on LinkedIn as a person, and they'll check out your company online. And if your website is not fit for purpose, that is not a good look. And one of the big things I think that websites do is that they protect you against brand erosion. They say that brand is so good that I can charge this price. And that's an important thing to do. And remember that people outside the USA look at brands even more than people in the USA do. This date's from October 2024, but it's still very true. So this is, looking at brands on social media. Again, the white bar in the middle of the screen is worldwide average. The blue arrow far to the right is USA. So let's say you really want to get into, I don't know, Spain, uh, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brazil, Kenya, Mexico, UAE, China, virtually anywhere. Um, they will spend more time looking at brands than you do in the USA, than we do in the USA. So think about that as you say, is my brand well positioned online? Does it look the way I want it to look online? And I guess with that, so that's sort of, the digital must-haves, your brand in one aspect. I did mention e-commerce earlier, and I want to get back to that as well as a possible thing as well. Again, that whole aspect of localization for e-commerce is even more important than on a single website, because any single step along the journey means abandon, means off. And once they're gone, they don't come back, or rarely come back. If your prospective buyer suddenly sees, oh, this is not secure. Oh, they don't have the right compliance. Oh, they don't have the right payment methods. Oh, I can't actually contact anyone. They will leave, and they will leave, and they won't come back. So you've not just blown a potential sale, you actually blown a prospective buyer. So it's really, really worth looking at, making sure that any e-commerce functionality you have is localized, highly localized. And again, AI comes in here quite nicely. There's, the e-commerce environment is a very competitive environment, mainly because it's driven by B2C. We're all very used to Amazon, which allows us, like, instant access and different prices and all of that stuff. Well, so even if I'm a B2B, the experience of e-commerce is driven by the B2C market. So I'm a B2B company, but at home, I go home and I say, oh, I really want that product tomorrow, and I want it at a good price, and I want it delivered now, and so on. And so that's why, the B2B market gets very competitive. It's really driven by the B2C market. It sets very high standards. And again, that AI can help you with the customer experience, the operational efficiency, and the ability to stay competitive. So all of those things really come into play when you're looking at that, for that. And there's the other point. Remember that notion we had in the beginning of this. We talked about some of the big trends. Personalization is a huge trend, including in B2B, across all markets. And again, that personalization is really helped by AI, which allows you to have very sophisticated chatbots and avatars these days, in multilingual avatars and things that really express and reflect your brand. And then, of course, all the upselling and cross-selling algorithms that we all know from from Amazon, which apply now to B2B websites. So here's some examples of some of them. But I also wanted to just give you on one slide, a sort of capture one slide of the type of tools that you might want to use for any kind of international e-commerce. And there's different types. Those NLPs, the natural language processing, really help you on the international stage. Some of them, I mean, we've been fighting against them and groaning with them for years because they've been poor. We've now found solutions with them that are actually, especially if you layer them, which actually make for very good instant translations. And those are superb for any kind of customer support and initial feedback of any kind of aftermarket sales. The one I want to highlight especially, though, is computer vision, It's something that B2B companies often forget about, but they really shouldn't, because computer vision is something that people are using increasingly. And you'll find that in international markets, they use it even more. If I am sitting in the UAE and I'm English is my second or third language, I might not know the name of the part that I'm looking for. So I will go to image rather than looking at the words. And I'll type in the image until I find it. I'll type in possible things until I find the image. So making sure that your websites and your digital assets, your digital marketing is really top in terms of imagery, and alt tags on the back end of the imagery is important. For e-commerce, really important, not just for visual search, but that whole aspect of line configurators and being able to, you can't touch the product, but these days we're designing websites which allow you to really walk around the product and configure it, and what would it look like if I added this component and that component and this color and that color. So really, emphasis on that. Please don't forget about the CVs, computer vision. So we've talked about your brand, we've talked about social media, we've talked about e-commerce, any kind of digital assets, any type of computer and digital marketing and digital asset has to have a defined, well-trodden path for a return on investment. And the great thing about the internet, especially e-commerce, but all aspects of the internet, is that you can do that. And you can say, I did this, and look, I instantly got this result. It's fantastic. Or not. If it's not good, let's make a change. And there it goes a bit better. So the return on investment is really important. And I think the most important part of this slide is actually the lather. Lather, rinse, repeat. Make sure you're doing it continuously. Excuse me, I'm going to speed up a little bit. I wanted to give you just a couple of things again, just surfing back into AI, a couple of major practical applications where you can use AI and think about AI, integrating AI into your international scope and your digital assets. Obviously, optimizing websites. The whole aspect of market intelligence now is just revolutionized with AI, and I think particularly ChatGPT is strong in that. This personalization aspect that I've talked about, the content and scalable content, obviously, the targeting in global markets, and of course that real-time analytics, which allows you real-time data-driven decisions and return on investment. Right, let's go to some use cases for this. We talked about brand, and I wanted to mention this is a company, wonderful company, and started many years ago, and they made grill toppers, and they started actually selling first like in Amazon, in Walmart and things like that, and they found that their grill toppers were sometimes also put up with other grill toppers, but it was hard to really distinguish one grill topper from another. And this is a very high quality grill topper. This was something that they wanted to say, this is a grill topper which is worth a different price from the lowest range grill topper that you can find. And so after some thought about it, they said, well, in fact, what we need to do is get a seriously good website. And so we were very, very proud and pleased to produce a website that reflected their brand, but a website that's also, e-commerce enabled. So this is a company that sells via a couple of different. They sell via Walmart, they sell on Amazon, they sell on their own shop as well. The Walmart sales might still extend, but their own website allows them to have the brand, which makes their product, even in Walmart, stand out. Even in Amazon, stand out. So we can no longer say, I just want a grill topper, cheapest I can find. No, I want that grill topper, because I know that one is the one that has a quality about it. And I think what's interesting is a brand is not about sort of, we make it like this. A brand is about a personality. A brand is about listen. Brand is about making sure that you have the personality that goes with it. Is about building community. So what we're producing here is about cooking, family events, sports events, outdoor events, neighborhood events. And what do you do for those events? Well, you go to a barbecue. And how to make the best barbecue? You use a grill talker. So those are brands and how brands work, and the importance of brands. A lot of our clients also work internationally via distributors. And again, moving on that whole segment about brands, a lot of our clients, what we say is don't let your, or a lot of our clients say we don't want our distributors to do our marketing for us. They're not always good at marketing. They're not always doing what they should be doing. Distributors are great at logistics. They're great at after sales. They're great at the right terms. They're great at, I don't know, trade shows or something, pressing the flesh. But they might not be really good at brand awareness, brand consistency, different platforms, and so on. So this is a company, really lovely Wisconsin company. We've been doing Amazon's international marketing for about 10 years now. And they have lots of different international websites. And their view is Amazon generates leads for their distributors. And that's a strategy that you might want to think about as you go forward, given the importance of brand, given the importance of digital assets. It's something that we see regularly for them. So, and here you see what we're producing there, going into the distributor, and then the distributor pushing it out. And I think what's interesting as well is that we're able to, one of the key points is that this is a company that does, marketing many different areas. So how do we make sure that it's successful? That whole notion of lather, rinse, repeat. Okay, we can take something that we produce for one market, adapt it, Photoshop it, adapt it for different markets. So this, for example, our imagery that they have for Africa, where they're looking to increase their number of distributors. So it's very much localized again for that. So I just wanted to show you two examples there. One very brand specific, and one a distributor specific. Right, as we near the time for questions, I see that I have some questions. Great. We thought we'd give you sort of like this party bag moment, some wins, some takeaways, some summaries, and hopefully some questions from y'all. So I think that the point that we have is that it's very hard to escape the rise of AI. But as a small mid-cap company, I think it's enormously enabling. It is something that you can really leap on and choose and make sure that it is right for you. There's a lot that goes into the AI, and we can talk about that as a separate thing. But just like the internet, it is an enabling tool which allows you to punch above your weight internationally and reach your prospective buyers across all different markets. And then using AI, making sure that it is cost efficient as well. So there's so many tools these days, to fine tune those digital assets. I mentioned already the sort of translation tools, multilingual SEOs. The number of avatars and chatbots that we're producing at the moment is unreal. The whole notion of user experience and personalization has really been being stretched out at the moment because of AI, and worth looking at. And then, as I've given some examples of AI-driven e-commerce optimization and e-commerce personalization, which you're now able to do. This slide here has just a whole range of possible. I just said, okay, what are the kind of things? What kind of tools? One can get lost. There's a new AI tool being developed every day. At the most, I thought I'd have one little place where you could have like some of the biggest ones, And most companies in the digital marketing departments have, they have some of the, two, three, four, as a digital marketing agency, we've got like 30 of them. And it's the challenge is in fact making sure we have the right kind. But what I think is important as well is understanding the sort of digital overload that we all have. There's a couple of stats here. The average person in the USA gets 120 emails a day. Oh. And so it's this sort of total overload and things. We get back to that whole point about quality and problem solving for your clients and how to make it really relevant for your clients. So worth thinking about as you go on. The other takeaway is always data-driven decisions and looking at your return on investment and what are those objectives? How are you measuring them? Are you succeeding? And so on. So anything you do online starts with what's my objective? How do I measure it? How frequently do I measure it? And how is the path of changing that task to make sure I reach the objective? So why do you need online business tools? Remember that very, very beginning slide that I had? 8 billion people on the planet, 5.5 billion of us online. This is good news. This is good news for you. You know where your clients are. You know where your prospects are. They're online. So I guess that's an important one. And then make sure your digital assets reflect your brand properly. Make sure they're working hard for you. A couple of key things you might want to ask. Just even asking your website. That's the core of your digital assets is your website. So even before you start talking about your digital marketing, how about your website? Is it optimized? Is it load speed, high res? Is it brand consistent? All those things. Worth having a look. The key then is this whole respect of your local buyer persona. And again, those 10 criteria that I mentioned for a localized, what is a buyer persona and what is a localization? Those two aspects. For us, as we go forward, I think I've tried to give some examples of where both your website and digital marketing is not only the best tool for you and your brand, but also the best way to help your sales rep. Some easy wins. Here you go. I'm going to leave this to think about. Some easy wins. Make getting in touch really easy. Highlight your wins. Talk to the world. Use imagery as much as possible. And then how do you bring your sales and marketing in together? I've left a slide as well about sort of further learning and tools for success, including the Kansas Department of Commerce for that. And there's some great books at the moment. These are some of my favorites. I would recommend. I mean, some of the companies that I've mentioned there have free downloadables, including our own. If you go onto our website, which is IBT Online, IBT.ONL, there's a resource section. Most of it's free to download. HubSpot has lots of free downloadables as well for that. And before we get to questions, I tell you what, let's do a last poll. If you want to learn more about us, I can send you some resources, or I'll send you links to some of our web pages and things to see the kind of things that we do, the client testimonial things that we do. You could let us know. And well, thank you again for that enthusiasm. We will definitely reach out and I'll send you some blogs and things like that. Okay. Right. There's a couple of I'm going to end that poll, sorry. But again, thank you for that enthusiasm. We will certainly contact you for that. a couple of questions have come in, just very sort of last things. Um, um, there's about 4 questions coming in saying, can you share the slide deck? Yes, we'll be sharing the slide deck and the recording. It'll all be in your inbox of that. One thing that works, another question, which is about customer support across different time zones, and native speaker answering real questions. We actually, in an ideal world, when resources are big, yes, have everything dedicated to every single market, have a website for every single market, have a different native speaker answering a query in real time. Most companies that we work with don't have those resources. Apple, like Apple phone, they have over 120 websites just for their phones internationally, and each one has native speakers, but they don't actually come to us for their help. We work with companies with smaller budgets than Apple. But there are now really, really interesting multilingual avatars that we're producing for our clients, which, I mean, they're just way better than the old-fashioned chatbots. The avatars are really impressive and can answer a lot of different types of questions and such, and in native language on the real-time zone. And then at a certain moment it stopped, but people accept that. That's fine. They say, well, hold on, that question I'm not sure about, but I will get back to you tomorrow with my sales team. I'll get back with one of my tech team. And that's perfectly fine. That's absolutely fine for that. And especially in Europe, people are very used to that. They have absolutely no problem with being told that. And then having initial answers like that in their own language. And that's something AI tools can do today for that. So thank you very much. I think that was from Carrie. A couple of other questions also come in. One of them is about URLs. How do you get different websites across different countries? Do you have to buy the URLs? Yes. Again, given the example of Apple, they have thousands of URLs, I guess. Most companies that we work with don't need to buy every single URL in the world, but one of the key determinants for relevance in a search engine and a chat and an AI would be your top level domain name. So if you are looking to go into Mexico, then you need .com.mx. If you are looking to go to South Africa, then you need uscompany.sa for South Africa. Or the UAE, you need UE. Or the UK, you need .co.uk. So you buy these things, they're not expensive. The Middle East ones tend to be like over $100, but most of the rest in the world are below $100 per year, and they're a worthwhile investment. But pick your top 5 markets and say, I want to own those ones. It's really annoying if someone buys it. If you've got a great brand name and you're selling into a market and someone else buys your online real estate, that is very annoying, as you can imagine. So buy it yourself. It's worth having. It's an asset. Think of it as real estate that you're investing in. So for that. Just another question about how to keep updated on AI tools for digital marketing. That's a really, really tough question. As I said earlier, we have one person who's fully dedicated to AI and keeping them up to date and keeping us up to date with latest tools that are relevant for us. But I think the big thing that you want to make sure that you have is a top level from the CEO down strategy on AI and how it's being run and in what way and what tools are allowed to have. Because what you don't want is that the entire company just decides their own, each person individually says, oh, I like this one, I'll do it. Because that opens you up to a lot of potential disasters and hacking. So don't do that. For that. We are 5 minutes over the time. So any other questions? There are some more questions coming, but I will answer those individually by email. I wanted to thank Lori and especially Cassidy for sticking with us and allowing us this opportunity to present some thoughts we have and some of our experiences for B2B digital strategies to help you grow your sales and grow your and scale your business internationally. Cassidy, thank you as always. And I would really encourage everybody to reach out to the Kansas Department of Commerce if you're in Kansas, or to your state, reps, and it's a tremendous asset that the U.S. has, and take advantage of it. They're great resources, and can plug you into a lot of help for that. So Cassidy, thank you again very much for sitting with us. And thank you all for attending. Much appreciated. Thank you all for being here and spending some time with us. And we hope it was useful for you. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next webinar or in person. Love to all meet you in person and have a coffee sometime. Take care. Thank you very much.
Susanna, have a great day.
You too, Cassidy. Have a great day. Thank you very much. Bye.